2311 Racing has just shocked NASCAR as on Wednesday, Bubba Wallace and 2311 Racing announced a multi-year contract extension for the driver of the number 23 Toyota. And for some, this might have come as a shocker. Wallace has been the team's top driver since its entry into the NASCAR Cup Series. However, Tyler Reddick overshadowed him considerably in 2024, earning the regular season title in the number 45. Regardless, it's clear that 2311 believes in Wallace's skill, which he'll continue to develop with the Toyota Club going ahead. From day one, Bubba has been an integral part of 2311. 2311 Racing posted on X. We're excited to announce that he has signed a multi-year renewal and will continue to play a key role in helping 2311 grow and succeed. #ForwardTogether. Moreover, Wallace joined the team run by fellow driver Denny Hamlin and basketball legend Michael Jordan ahead of the 2021 campaign. Wallace has won 2 races since then, at Talladega and Kansas. However, he has endured his fair share of problems, such as missing the playoffs this season. Wallace hopes to take the next step toward becoming an elite driver in the Cup Series by improving his consistency, particularly on circuits such as road courses. Wallace has been hard on himself throughout whole career, so it's easy to understand why 2311 feels he can go even more. At the very least, the 30-year-old driver has signed on for another couple of seasons with 2311 Racing, and Bubba Wallace's future in the number 23 seems promising. What are your thoughts on that? Did the news come as a shock, or were you expecting Wallace to stay? But it's not all sunshine for 2311 Racing, as they're still in a big dispute with NASCAR and its owners. As 2311 Racing was one of 2 Cup Series teams that did not accept NASCAR's last charter offer earlier this month. But all indications are that the upstart team will expand to 3 full-time charters in 2025. And this might cause for some problems. I mean, how can you expand if you haven't even signed the other 2 charters for 2025? And let's not forget, they've extended Wallace's contract as well. So what do they know that we don't? Have they suddenly signed after all? However, Fox Sports' Bob Pockrass presented an update Tuesday on who may join 2311 full-time in a charter that will most likely be bought from Stewart-Haas Racing. Pockrass noted Riley Herbst, who is heavily sponsored by Monster Energy. Monster is already in a relationship with 2311, and Pockrass thinks coming together makes the most sense. Pockrass went on to say that despite the uncertainties surrounding the charter situation, 2311 has begun hiring for a 3rd car next year. With the team already having a Monster Energy relationship, adding Riley Herbst and his Monster deal would make sense. But Herbst has indicated his future is still not set, Pockrass wrote. Corey Heim is the team's driver of the future, but he might be a year or 2 away from being fully Cup ready. Despite the charter drama, 2311 Racing has been hiring employees to fill a 3rd car for next year. Herbst is currently competing full-time in the Xfinity Series with SHR. The 25-year-old won at Indianapolis in July and is guaranteed a position in the playoffs, which begin at Kansas on Saturday, September 28th. Herbst has 8 Cup Series appearances under his belt, with 2 top 10 finishes. Under Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin's direction, 2311 has steadily improved throughout the years. Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace made the playoffs last year. While Wallace did not make it there this year, Reddick won the regular season championship. It's unclear if the charter controversy will influence 2311's expansion aspirations. In its statement explaining its decision not to sign, 2311 blamed not being able to fairly bargain for a new charter contract. Teams were allowed just 6 hours to sign the deal before the playoff opener in Atlanta. Hamlin has been candid about his dissatisfaction with how discussions have progressed over the previous 2 years and stated in June that he would not expand until the charter situation changed. 2311 is interested in getting a charter deal done, Hamlin said. We don't, right now, on Jan. 1, 2025, we don't even have a charter. So, you can't buy or sell something that doesn't exist in our eyes. We have 2 charters till the end of this year, and until we get a charter agreement done, that's all we have. I mean, I didn't build that facility to stay a 2-car team, but it always has to make financial sense. I'm not going to put myself in a position to where I'm having to shell out millions and millions of dollars every year just to keep this thing going. I will not do that personally. So, it has to make financial sense. And the charter agreement needs to be better than it is, certainly before I invest any more money in it. It will be interesting to see how it folds out. At one end, they're not signing the new charter agreement. On the other end, they're getting a 3rd charter. So there must be something more going on behind the scenes. We'll all find out soon. What do you think? Will 2311 stay? For now, we are entering the first elimination race of the 2024 playoffs. Title contenders are in danger, while playoff underdogs are at ease 2 wild races into the tournament. Chris Buescher wrecked the playoff party by winning at Watkins Glen, but he wasn't the only one taking vital points away from title hopefuls. There's also Ross Chastain, who led for half of the race until winning the second stage. In the end, only one playoff driver finished in the top 10 in a wild race, with others getting into problems on the opening lap, further shaking up the standings and demonstrating how unpredictable this year's round of 16 was projected to be. Here's a deeper look at where things stand as we approach the Bristol elimination race. Some drivers are sighing with relief as they reach Bristol, but those who are not the names observers would have guessed to be on the verge of elimination only weeks ago. Austin Cindric is 43 points ahead of the cut line and third in the playoff rankings. Alex Bowman is just behind him. Although Bowman drives for Hendrick Motorsports, few would have predicted he would be ahead of his 3 colleagues at the start of the playoffs, but that is precisely where he is now. Daniel Suarez comes in 6th, with many expecting him to be eliminated in the first round. After nearly winning in Atlanta and scoring well at the Glen, he is currently 36 points ahead. None of these drivers are locked in, but they must be feeling relatively secure from elimination heading into this race weekend. However, with these shocks near the top, several of the more severe title threats are now slipping down. A last-place result at Watkins Glen reduced Ryan Blaney's lead by 16 points, but the reigning Cup champion's superb performance at Atlanta keeps him 29 points ahead. He is presently 7th in the standings, and while he is not feeling great, he is doing better than 2 Hendrick Motorsports drivers. Kyle Larson, an overwhelming threat throughout the 2024 season, is up 26 points only due of the extra points he brought with him. The driver of the number 5 Chevrolet has had a terrible 2 weeks, as has teammate William Byron, who is only 1 point behind him. And with drivers in the elimination zone completely capable of winning this weekend, their lead is really smaller than it appears, with a win automatically advancing any of the drivers below them to the next round. If these drivers are on the hot seat, there must be a fire in the room where Chase Briscoe and Ty Gibbs sit. In credit to Briscoe, he produced a remarkable recovery at the Glen, going from 21 points behind to 6 points ahead. The fact that he scored 28 points is enough to have drivers like Larson and Byron anxious this weekend. But then there's Ty Gibbs, who makes his postseason debut. He hasn't been very dazzling on the track this year, and that trend has carried into the playoffs. He left Atlanta on the bubble, and Watkins Glen is now in the same situation, only 6 points ahead. But, in an unexpected twist, he is still ahead of half of the Joe Gibbs racing field. As for Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., and Harrison Burton, they are currently behind the cut line, something most would have expected for some of these drivers. The question is, who will survive Bristol? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.